Ouch. Toothaches hurt. Toothaches hurt. Ow, 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 ow. Okay. Got something bigger down here. And alright. Okay, so obviously the name of this stream is I Want to Talk Builds Part 2. This was in mainly this is a follow-up of my last stream, and I noticed that my last stream wasn't all too popular. Got like 2 dislikes on it. I made a video on it last night, but the video just wouldn't upload, so I decided that I was going to just do it a different way. And I wanted to clarify a few points that may or may not have been misunderstood. Okay, first off, I want to make something perfectly clear, and this is point number 1. Point number 1 is, I don't care ultimately what your build is in Onigiri, so as long as you're having fun. I wanted to make that point very clear. However, there are such things in Onigiri as good builds and bad builds. That's just how this game works. Every game has good builds and every game has bad builds. If you're, or let's take a simpler game that's not Onigiri, for instance. Let's take something like RuneScape. RuneScape does have some hidden core mechanics to it, but it's very simple. You can't go and fight the greater demons inside of a specific area of that game with just using bronze armor and a bronze sword. Likewise, in Onigiri, you can't take a Nodachi, like 4 Nodachis with 7k durability, and expect yourself to kill EB. Even with the best mags, that's just not plausible. And if you can do it, fine, but it's not going to be within a reasonable amount of time as someone with a Gale and a good sword wind build setup. So that analogy being used here, that example being used, let's continue. Let's move on. Let's move forward. Now, I said that I don't like pay-to-win mags, and I still don't. And here's the reason. Let me clarify why I think they're a crutch. I think they're a crutch because they don't help you evolve. They don't help you move on. And I don't think they're good for your build. Now, the mod element mags and the lesser versions of them, I don't really think they're good. Only because of the fact that, I don't know, they don't seem to be the ultimate version of what you ultimately can get yourself, but for free. Like, you can make 3 incredible wind mags, which are the final mags that you get from out of Fujin's mag series, out of the horse mag series for wind and mountain. Now pay attention, that has wind and mountain on it. What do we have right now in the 9 Coral Pond? We have these mountain only element mags and these wind only element mags, and while that looks good on paper, wouldn't you rather have a build, one build that can do any dungeon that's weak to mountain and any dungeon that's weak to wind? That way you take up less inventory space and you have to waste less time on ornamenting more mags, which just means that you're wasting more resources. Wouldn't you rather have it that way? Now, I don't think I really explained it that way in my last stream, but that was ultimately what I was getting at. More mags for more builds means that you have to waste more resources. If you have less mags, if you have less mags, right, and you have just as many builds as the person with more mags, you're going to waste less resources, and it will be more streamlined and efficient for you. The pay-to-win mags do not help you with that, as far as I know. Now, the Prodigal maybe can help you and Asinryu. I do like those, but those are like the only exceptions that I like out of the pay-to-win mags. Those can help you make really good builds, as far as I know. But then again, I haven't seen any good pay-to-win builds, sort of, you know, I consider it a pay-to-win build if it has one pay-to-win mag on it. Obviously, it's a pay-to-win build. Just like if you have an event mag inside of a build, then obviously some part of your build is an event build, because you do have an event mag in it. So it's part of event mag. Anyways, I don't want to lose the main point. And this is the main reason why I want to talk builds with people. Because I don't want players in Onigiri watching a video thinking that I'm dissing their inherent play style. That's fine if you want to use pay to win mags. That's fine if you want to make a different mag for every different build that you're going to possibly come up with. But don't tell me that that's going to be more efficient than making one Magatama that can fit into 3 different element builds than your one mag. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you have 3 mags for 3 different builds and I have one mag that can do what all 3 of your mags can do and just as efficient, I'm going to have more inventory space and I'm going to have more fun because I don't have to sit there at the start of every dungeon before I enter and switch my mags out. I do that already with certain dungeons. Like if we're going to a slew of dark dungeons, I put on my dark build. That's okay, because it has elements that it's secondary in, so it can punish the enemies already. Like my rainbow build is really good with pierce because I have a Mimir earth bow plus 15 base pierce because of my Kenshin title on my main. So I get what, another 40? I think I get an additional 40 pierce on that, or maybe it's an additional 50 pierce, so I get like 65 pierce. It's something like that, some ludicrous number that I'm really happy about. But anyways, I can go into the Lancelot dungeon, like the one that has the Tanuki at the end of it, and kill all the enemies before it with my Mimir earth bow at a fast pace, but not as fast as me using Aqua Needle with my Night Sky bows on the Tanuki. See what I'm saying? Like, I have one build that can have multiple different purposes as opposed to one build that does just one thing. What I'm ultimately saying is, do not make a build to be a one-trick pony. That's something you want to avoid in Onigiri. You want a build that's capable of doing more than just one trick. If it's capable of doing 2 tricks, that's really good. If it's capable of doing 3 tricks, that's superb. If it's capable of doing 4 tricks, my goodness, dude, I may want to start learning from you. That's the whole point, though. You want to be as smart as possible with the resources that you have. Not too long ago, we were told that the buttons and like the smelting buttons and the Magatama band-aids A and B were going to be taken out of the store along with the platinum boost. Like, they've already been taken out of PC. So wouldn't you rather stockpile on your buttons and your band-aids now rather than scrap buy for them later because you decided to make 20 plus different builds, rather than have a couple of mags that can help you produce 10 different builds depending upon how you put them in combination? See what I'm saying here? We don't have forever until this update happens, and maybe the update will never happen to us. Maybe they won't take away our platinum premium boost things and our buttons and our band-aids, but wouldn't you rather be prepared? Wouldn't you rather not be left in the dark? That's all I'm saying. I don't think being left in the dark is the correct way of putting it. I think the more appropriate term is, wouldn't you rather have more resources to be prepared for the oncoming apocalypse? Like, who expects an apocalypse and only brings 1 can of beans to try and outlast the apocalypse? No. You'd rather have a fully sheltered bunker with all these fucking resources ready for you so that when the time comes for the impending doom, you're outlasting the apocalypse until rescue comes to help you. Know what I'm saying? And I really hope that a lot of people do, because I'm not really trying to step on anybody's toes here. After all, it is a video game. Number 1, it is a video game, and number 2, I would prefer to play with everybody in this video game. I know that's not going to happen because not everybody likes me, and likewise, I don't like everybody, so that's just how this works. That's how humanity works, and that's really difficult, especially in an MMORPG game where we're all supposed to theoretically get along with each other, team up, make friends, yada yada yada, the whole 9 yards. We already saw it in the Onigiri ad that was so wonderfully created by Cyberstep. Now, I want to talk something a little bit more intricate about builds today that may not have been spoken about. Did you know that if you get 150 of a certain stat, let's just say like if you have 150 power altogether, that you get special bonuses in Affinity? Now, I've already practiced it, already done it, and while the game doesn't inherently tell you that you're going to get extra affinity and extra attack out of having 150 power plus, you do get it. Is it worthwhile to force, should you force yourself to get to 150 power at the cost of other things? No, you shouldn't. It's a bad idea. Already tried it. It's not worth it. Not yet. However, what other stats are there that you can get a special bonus out of? Well, any other stat that you can get to 150 plus, such as mind. Vit would be okay, I guess, if you're a spear user. Dex, getting it at 150, 150 plus, that's very beneficial. That is a very beneficial thing to have for yourself. Having your wisdom at 150 plus, I don't know if that's super beneficial, but I bet it would be. Just the class you would have to be as a wand user, basically. Same thing for mine, being 150 plus, be a staff user before you go doing something like that. And those things, like having those stats and not having them forced, having your main stat at 150 plus and not forced, and you're just able to go with it casually, will be super beneficial to you and your builds in the end. Now, there was something else that I really wanted to touch on, because I feel like some people think that I just crap on other people's builds for fun, and I don't. It's that ultimately when I see a build, I think to myself, if I had that build, what dungeons could I do with it? If I had their same gear, what dungeons could I do with it, and would I be able to perform at a faster rate than what my builds are capable of churning out? Considering I'm not being stupid and just sitting there and waiting for the enemy to do something, and I'm taking my sweet precious time. So let's say, for instance, I'm going to bring up this Onigiri player's name only because they're really good when it comes to using event mag builds, and that would be Papaco. Papaco has a build where they have other side twin blades, and they use darkness mags, and they can clear Lucifer in like 3 minutes. My best time was 9 minutes and 38 seconds without using them out. So obviously there's a discrepancy there. You know what I mean? There's some sort of thing that's not adding up in my noggin. Well, it is adding up in my noggin. I know how they got to that point. And so then I told myself, if I ever had a dark build like Papaco's or something similar to it, I guess that's what I mean by then I'll be able to churn out a similar result, if not maybe something slightly better. So I took my time to study what they were doing. Not the mags they were using necessarily, though I can imagine what mags they were using were probably really good mags that I don't have access to yet. Because I don't think mags of knowledge are just going to pull the trick, but if Pop just uses mags of knowledge, just straight mags of knowledge, then more power to them. Then that means I gotta, learn something when it comes to picking up 2 other mags of knowledge for Lucifer. So that's my thing. I ask myself, is it worth it? Is there, what they have, is it worth me picking up? And if it's not, then what about if I got their same setup, but I put different ornamentations on it, or I just did something slightly different with a different weapon that they didn't think about using beforehand? And that's what I think about builds in this game. It's they're very interesting, because how somebody has a mag set up or how they have their weapons set up, their skills, will really tell you how they are, what kind of person they are as a player in this game. Now, if somebody has a Falling Star sword with triple lunge step and double lance, I really can't argue with that setup per se, but I know if they use triple lunge step and double mega bursting embers, they would get more damage out of it. In the end, ultimately, they would get more damage out of the end because of multi-hit being better than single hit. And that's just, that's just the reality of the situation. Now, I know a lot of people who want to argue that point a lot about multi-hit versus single hit. Well, if my single hit hits cap and none of your multi-hits hit cap, then obviously my skill is superior. That doesn't make your build better if you hit cap with it with just one tick and one cast altogether than the person who's using the same exact build. And let me make a perfect example. Let's say you had 3 emanation mags and I had 3 emanation mags. Now, we're just going to include 3 emanation mags for right now. We're not going to include that 4th Smagatama slot, and we're not going to include accessories. Let's say we were both using twin swords, right? Okay, let's say like we were both using Earth Twin Swords from Odin. Now let's say like I used Crimson Crosscut 7 and 6 and you used double lance. Who do you think is going to get the higher DPS ultimately? Assuming that we have the same cooldown cut. Let's just say we have no titles in this scenario that can affect it. And we have no accessories, it's just the 3 emanations. Who do you think is going to get the higher DPS? Assuming that the enemy is weak to fire and impact and also slice and fire. The person with the Crimson Crosscut is going to deal higher DPS. Because you're going in between 2 lances and they're going in between 2 Crimson Crosscuts and their cooldown's going to be much faster than yours if you're just using 2 lances. Because you're only allowed to use those 2 lances, and if you go 1, 2, that's it. Your trick is done. What'd you do? Cap twice? If you didn't cap both those hits, or you didn't hit past cap, then you're dead in the water. You are legitimately dead in the water. You are screwed. I'm sorry. That's just how it is. You are doomed right from the beginning, because the Crimson Crosscut's going to have a faster cooldown rate, it's going to have a higher DPS rate, because it's shooting out, let's just say, let's compare it to guns, right? If my gun shoots 10 rounds per minute, and your gun only shoots 1 round per minute, and there's 10 people in front of us, you kill 1 target, I kill 10, who has the better kill ratio between the guns? My gun, obviously. That's just how it works. This is my gun. Assuming that we each get a perfect shot and it's a kill shot with every shot, then my gun is theoretically better. You're not factoring in how many times you will die because Lance gives invincibility frames. This is just going in the basis off the fact that the enemy that you're attacking is not even hurting you. Because emanation mags give you a lot of fucking defense. And lances, I've had certain instances where I've lanced at Lucifer and he still smacked me out of the air. I've done it where I've fought bosses such as the werewolf inside of Lancelot. He still smacked me, even if I did lance. So sometimes lances invincibility frames are not always consistent. So you could lance at Blitz and he'll still smack you out of the air with his lasers if you run right into them. And sometimes people grow complacent because of those lances. And people using Crimson Crosscut, you can roll out a Crimson Crosscut. Even if the enemy was hitting back at you, you would take the time and the opportunity to land Crimson Crosscut 7 and 6, run around a little bit, then do it again. It's assuming that both of us are competent, and it's used as an example. It's not a perfect example, because nothing would be a perfect example. Because there you can always find something flawed in something. That's just how it is. But anyways, back to the analogy. Utility set aside, multi-hit will always be better than burst damage. Because that's how the game works. That's just the core of the game. Multi-hit is supreme. Multi-hit gets dungeons done faster. Multi-hit, assuming that the player using it is good, doesn't have to solely rely always on invincibility frames. But you want to know a move that does better right now than Lance ever will, and does have invincibility frames? Salome from the Konotoa event. It gives you more invincibility frames, has a faster cooldown cut than double Lances ever will. Oh, and its multi-hit hits up to about 6 times I saw. And you can hit like 5-9 mils with it. With the person I saw using it, we hit 10 mil on the first hit, and then following 9 mils to 8 mils. Like the damage was dropping by a mil with each and every single hit. But that was hitting harder than using 2 lances over and over again. So even if you want to talk about invincibility frames and Ogies, that move is far superior to Lance, because it offers you invincibility frames and multi-hit. And also emanation, from what I heard, gives you, like I said earlier, gives you defense. And this is also assuming that we both have the same amount of health. So what are we fighting here that's going to kill us like 10 plus times? Because everything weak to fire right now that's not an event-centered boss dies pretty easily to fire. I mean, yeah, you could talk about the flies that are in, where? Kenshin's dungeon? But those are Beelzebubs. Everybody who's going to fight those flies should know how to fight a Beelzebub and not, not die to a Beelzebub at that point. Not that many times anyway. Because most Twin Sword users that I find, me being one of them, are competent enough to be able to roll or perfect block something. Which you can easily do with a Crimson Crosscut. That's something you can't easily do with a Lance. You can't roll out of a lance animation. You can roll out of a Crimson Crosscut animation. You can block in between your Crimson Crosscuts. So even then, there's more skill utility with Crimson Crosscut 7 and 6 than double 6 lances. Comparing Collapsing Blade 7 and 6 on Twin Sword versus Abyssal Embrace. Collapsing Blade 7 and 6 on Twin Sword is always going to outdo Abyssal Embrace. Yeah, Abyssal Embrace doesn't have the invincibility frames, but you sit still just like you would for Lance. I'm talking in terms of DPS and accuracy too. Crimson Crosscut's just going to have more precision than Lance will. Lance is an AoE skill for a reason. It was never designed to be like, oh, I will constantly hit this opponent. No, it's an area effect attack that's meant to hit multiple enemies. And sometimes AoE attacks tend to miss more because the enemy runs around a lot. You know, e.g., EB, Golden Skelly jumps around a lot too. Of course, you're not going to Lance Golden Skelly, for Christ's sakes, but that's just theoretically saying. Like hell, even Blaze Sanction in certain instances is better than Crimson Crosscut, just because of the fact that it tracks the enemy. Like, I can Blaze Sanction the Lizard and Lancelot and probably will hit him more than if I was to use Crimson Crosscut. And there's nothing saying that Lance would hit the Lizard more, because if you ran out of your way, because both Lance and Crimson Crosscut are both close combat quarter moves. You know? Either way, like I ultimately said in the beginning of the video, I believe, play the game how you want to play the game. Ultimately, it's my opinion mixed in with some fact. And the fact is, multi-hit is superior to single hit. And if you don't like that aspect, I'm sorry, but that's just how Blue Boy designed it. And for those that don't know who Blue Boy is, he's the creator of Onigiri. He's the executive producer, the man himself. And even then, he probably uses multi-hit because he knows that it is superior to single hit. It's the same thing as using Zunda Hyper Arrow versus Zunda Arrow Rain. Zunda Arrow Rain has a higher DPS shelling and potential than Zunda Hyper Arrow. Zunda Hyper Arrow has more invincibility frames than Zunda Arrow Rain, but Zunda Arrow Rain can hit up to 230 million damage. Zunda Hyper Arrow will never be able to hit something like that. And Zunda Arrow Rain has more multi-hit capabilities. It can bounce off everywhere, it can hit multiple enemies at once. There's certain dungeons I've gotten rank 1 on just because of Zunda Arrow Rain. Just because of that one move just bouncing everywhere rather than just a single focused burst of multiple shots with Zunda Hyper Arrow. But again, going back to my analogy, it's a DPS only. It's not, oh, what utility can you get out of Crimson Crosscut? And oh, what full utility can you get out of a Lance? Maybe that sounds like I'm cheating it, and maybe I am. But we're not factoring in multiple tests here. It's just one test. It's a DPS test. Who does higher DPS? Crimson Crosscut. Now, if you want to argue practicality of the skill, I can say Lance is too fucking slow. And I would be correct. In certain instances, it's so slow. Super slow. Even with the physical attack speed of 50, I'll get off a Crimson Crosscut 7 and 6 by the time one Lance is done. You can't argue that. Because if the Lance would go faster, so will the Crimson Crosscuts. By the time both Lances are done, I probably have, what, 2 combinations of Crimson Crosscut 7 and 6 being done? Especially if it's Blaze Sanction. Oh, I would be able to get 4 Blaze Sanctions off by the time 2 Lances are done. And Blaze Sanction would be a better move because it's pure fire. So I'm not pure fire enemy. So that'd be better with Emanation, since Emanation does nothing but increase fire. And in this specific instance, we're using Earth. So I guess I would put it on my Earth bow. And since the enemy would be weak to fire, mainly, and slice and impact, I would still get more damage out of it. Because it's focusing point on one thing. And I'd have more fire element anyway. So, yeah. But that is an interesting point that you did bring up. Any other interesting points that you want to bring up? because I do like this conversation. Hopefully it's letting you know what kind of knowledge I have about the game. I mean, not me just talking out of my butt. Theoretically, well, not theoretically speaking, but figuratively speaking. Hello, Royally. I've seen you before. Didn't I farm with you on my Tempest? Like you and I, Tempest farmed a little bit for the Earthen Marbles and the Heavenly Marbles. That both send us crazy. And even so, I like Lance. I do like it as a move because of the invincibility frames, and it's an easy move to get. I mean, it's what, like 50,000 points or 60,000 points to get, or maybe 80,000. Oh, we've talked in chat before? Oh, nice. Hope I recognize you then. I'm sorry if I don't, because sometimes I'm bad with usernames, because sometimes people's YouTube names can be different from their actual in-game Onigiri names, and so I'm like, yeah, I don't know that person's YouTube. I just don't know. Yeah, so basically what I'm talking about here is I was royally forsaken. Oh yeah, I know you then. Don't worry about it. I know who you are then. But what I'm basically talking about is builds in Onigiri. I got sidetracked a little bit because I was talking about multi-hit versus single hit, and multi-hit does reign supreme over single hit. You are an axe user, so you have the very nice move of freezing ice blade, which is a move I so badly want for Odachi, but I don't think we're ever going to be allowed to have such a graceful move. But I know you're an axe user, and I know you have 3 Ryatsu Tempests, which is really awesome, by the way. Congratulations on getting your 3 Tempests all together, all your ducks in a row. But I know you can tell me with that 90 ice and with the Rhyme Axe, you could probably kill Satan in like maybe 11 to 10 seconds flat just by using that move, or a combination of Ice Blade 7 and Ice Blade 6. And that's really good. It's really solid. I like Axe having that ice and mountain, because mountain helps you just demolish Gold Skelly, and Axe, in my opinion anyway, has the best mountain moves in the game, not just because they are mountain. Yeah, it is crazy good. It's crazy good. Like, you can hit what, up to 4 to 5 mils a tick, and I think that's absolutely insane. That has to be absolutely insane numbers, is considering the fact if you hit up to 5 to 6 times, even if you hit 5 mils, that would be 25 million damage theoretically, not including the extra 300Ks and 600Ks that you could have that may even make it equal up to 30 mil. Because I've seen Lyra hit with it before, I've seen Sighting hit with it before, like I've seen really good axe players like hit with freezing ice blade, and it was just ridiculous. But anyways, you know, that's just my main consensus. Like, that's what I love about this game, is the fact that everybody does have a build that they love to use, and some people stick to the meta and some people don't. And the people that don't, I really like learning from them too, but hey, there's a reason why the meta's for a reason. Like, the meta is there to show you, like, hey, this is something that you probably want to start off with. It's just that I didn't want to use 3 Tempests. I preferred to go a different route, and it ended up helping me in the end because I am ultimately a hybrid. So, you know, it helped out my 2 Odachi Tempests. I guess that's the point I'm getting at. Like, my Tempest build, basically it's like 2 points away from equaling 2 2 Crucifix Fuse, which generally give you 60 holy. I have 58 holy with my build currently, and that's not including the Lucifer Daws. So when I use a Rev 3, I get like 108 holy. When I use White Brilliance, it's 118. So I don't think that's a bad element pool to be dealing with. I don't have a lot of rain negative on my build, so when I use my Rev 3, I actually get positive rain. So if I'm fighting something that dishes out rain damage, which I believe Darkman will be dishing out some rain damage, I won't be suffering from that deficit. Yes, I am Holy Boy. And I also get 100 base fire with my build, and I get a base wind of 175, which I know isn't as much as you could probably potentially get with certain other builds, but 175 wind, still pretty high. I did prove recently though that Twin Blade Slash has a higher DPS value than I can't wait for Dark Fin. I can just smell the Splasher Sublime. I know regular Splasher isn't too good from what I understand. I don't know if you can confirm that for me or not. I used to think that Splasher just did one hit, but then I remembered correctly that Splasher's 6 and up, I believe, hit at least twice. And so I don't know how good that move is for axes. I don't know if it has impact or rain, or if it's just rain, or if it's slice and rain. Because if it's impact and rain, I guess you could, I don't know, could you put that on a Rev 3 axe and would it deal good damage? Because, I mean, I really don't like the move. It's terrible in most circumstances. Okay. Yeah, okay, I thought I was right. Okay. Because I was thinking, yeah, it's a pretty bad move. So, I don't know. Maybe Splasher Sublime will actually give Splasher the actual respect that it deserves. Because if it turns out to basically be like a water gargoyle lance, then that'll be perfect for all those pesky enemies that like running around the area and not sitting still. And Gold Skelly, I'm looking mainly at him because he doesn't know how to sit still. But build-wise, I love a lot of builds in Onigiri. I recently made a new one that lets me have like 190 wind through buffs and 72k attack. And when I used Twin Blade Slashes on my White Brilliances, I ended up hitting up to 10 mil on a single tick. So with that entire combo, I was hitting like 25 mil to 30 mil with just that one combo string going on with Twin Blade Slash 7. So I thought that was pretty ridiculous. Although I saw a PC axe user use Splasher, but he had the rain knowledges on. Yeah. Rain knowledges are the easiest way to deal really good rain DPS. Assuming that, you know, your ornamentations treat you very nicely and not screw you over. I don't know how good rain knowledges will be useful against Gold Skelly though, because I think one of his moves are fire. And I know that the rain mags are supposed to give you negative fire, if I'm not mistaken, which is really weird. But not too weird, but kind of weird in my opinion. Oh, for those that don't know, there are, when we get the Konotoa Redux one day, if we get it, they are going to have mags out that are fire and wind and ice. So there are ice knowledge mags, and there are fire knowledge mags, and are wind knowledge mags. For all of those that don't know. And you also will be able to get Icicle Punishment. You'll also be able to get so many other things out of... Yeah. Yeah, finally. So basically, it basically will be, oh, you got wind knowledges again and fire knowledges again. Because I do believe the Nightly Magatama is like an early stage version of a knowledge mag, but it's just fire. And the Translucent Magatama is just an early version of the Wind Mastery Mag, but it gives you Pierce, and obviously the Fire Mag gives you Slice, the Nightly one. That being said, you know, I know there's a lot of people that, you know, like builds, so anybody who's watching this video, just give me an example of a build that you want me to comment on, or something that you think is good, and I'll try to give you my comments on it. This is assuming going with the not the theory, the hypothesis. No, is the hypothesis the correct word? Or with the theory? Yeah, I guess I'll just choose theory, even if it may not be the best word to fit what I'm trying to say here. Going with the theory that you value my opinion, because ultimately it is my opinion. But I am basing my opinion off of fact, though. Basing it off of things I have seen visually for myself. Such as whenever I saw Other Side Twin Blades hit cap with every single hit on Blitz Tiamat on Oni mode. So I know that's possible. Of course, it was a really good Twin Sword user by the name of Yamato who was doing it. So that's some catching up to do with my Dark DPS. So I mainly Dark DPS with bows, though that sucks compared to Twin Swords. Comment on my build. Sure, Ted. Like, I've seen your build a lot, and I think that I'd like a twin build I'm working on and ult right now. That's twin. He is so far. He only has Garcivar and 105, and the rest Nekomatas. Oh, 105 and the rest Nekomatas. Okay. First, I'll comment on Ted's build. And seeming how he slid in there first right before you, Rolly, and then I'll comment on your Twin Sword build. Ted, I really do like the builds you come up with. Even if they may seem like really plain on the surface, if I was in your position and I was sword and I was wanting to be sword slash axe hybrid and wanting to also use staff, I think I'd use a lot of what the event builds that you come up with, because you did have that really good clear and serene mag that you then gave up. But if you had not given up that clear and serene mag, I think that'd be one of the better builds that you had come up with. It was still one of the better builds that you came up with, because it did have really good crit force, and I bet if you had your Logos axe, you'd be dealing a crap ton of damage with dark and lightning both. And in general, I do like the dark damage that you and Cheryl Gnome output. Y'all were the two players that I looked up to when it came to dark DPS, mainly because that y'all both used sword and y'all made it looked like sword had such high dark DPS, and y'all still do. Like, both of y'all's Abyssal Embraces are crazy fucking strong because of the multi-hit. Yeah, sure, y'all don't like getting hit by Blitz Tiamat. I figured that out. Y'all both don't like getting hit by that guy. Y'all don't like getting hit by Lucifer either. Your characters tend to trip over rocks, quote unquote, and take a nap when y'all have y'all's Mag of Knowledge built on. But y'all are both getting y'all's, well, Cheryl Gnome, I heard, is getting his Tempest, and then you're getting your 3 Fuse. So I can only wait. I can't wait, honestly, to see what you'll do with your Skyrending Fuse. I bet you'll come up with something really ridiculous, because I know you have the knowledge to do it, even if you think you don't. I bet you do have the expertise to just unleash a really good fused build. Now, when it comes to the Twin Sword build, I like the word I'm working on, and right now that's Twin Sword only has Gargs so far, 105s, and the rest Nekomatas. You can do some pretty crazy things with Nekomatas, and you can do crazy things with 105s. Like, I have a 105 right now that has Mountain and Rain on it, and I use that for my Rain Odachi build, even though my Bow Rain build does so much more DPS. Well, more DPS. Sorry, correct grammar there. But it has higher DPS value than my Rain Odachi build. That kind of hurt me a little bit on the inside to say, just because my Rain Odachi build has a higher attack ratio than my Rain build does with my Night Sky Bows. And this just proves to you, I don't really know what elements Twins benefit off of. Well, Twins is kind of like Wand. We can use whatever the heck we want. You just got to have the proper build for it. Like, obviously the Carbon Cut build used 3 Dancing Water Tempest to get the most rain and the most ice out of something for Twins. Until Frozen Hell Mags come out, and if you really, really, really want to focus on your ice damage, then you could do something like 1 Frozen Hell and 2 Dancing Water Tempest. But even then, I still think, like, big brain, me small brain. I still think that 3 Dancing Water Tempests are probably going to outdo Frozen Hell Mags anyway. The only thing that Frozen Hell Mags are going to have over Dancing Water Tempests is the fact that they're A, universal, B, they're holy and ice. That's it. And they do have their ornamentation slots, which you can ornament, blah, 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 blah. But, I'd rather make 3 Dancing Water Tempests over Frozen Hells, only because I know that the Dancing Water Tempests are going to have more value later down the road than Frozen Hell. And it just will. And it has lesser negatives than Frozen Hells will. Event Mags always come with really bad negatives that make me just want to tear my skull apart, because it's so terrible. Like, 1 Wind Mastery gives you like -50 ice, as opposed to 1 Wicked Wolf Tempest that gives you the same amount of wind, attack, and crit force, but only gives you -30 ice. So it doesn't punch you in the gut as hard. I had to equip a Rumi doll for my Wicked Wolf build just so I had -90 ice, like every other Odachi user that uses 3 Wicked Wolf Tempests. I've never really seen someone have Dancing Water Tempests in their build. There's plenty of people who have it. Some that don't play the game anymore, like Shiro-sama, had 3 Dancing Water Tempests, and they use that in their build. Patch, going by the name of Miss Ashley in Onigiri right now, Aya on the Oni Discord server, uses 3 Dancing Water Tempests and a Great Dog. They deal really good DPS. They recently got SCDS, which is Fujin Circle Dance Sublime, and even with 15 wind, they deal ridiculous damage with it. So all hell the FCDS, which probably deals higher damage than my Fierce Slashes, even though I can hit 11.4 mil with one single Fierce Slash. But it goes without saying that FCDS is a very powerful move, and so is Twin Blade Slash. And I proved that in my last video, which should be before this stream. If anybody wants to take a quick look at that, I showed that Twin Blade Slash, yes, I did use an assist character to buff certain things of that build, but it just shows you just the eventual DPS that you can have if you just boost your numbers to that crazy of a height. It just has higher damage potential. I do gotta ask somebody though who has Phoenix Slash 7 to see if they could ever cap with it, and if they have the potential to cap with Phoenix Slash, then that means the subsequent hits can be really, really good. And it's slice and fire, so I think a sword user would be able to pull that off a little bit easier than if they were trying to use Embers for cap, because that's wind and fire. But yeah, these are, like, again, this is a really interesting talk and things I like to talk about. Obviously, there are going to be people who like my opinion, there are going to be people who don't like my opinion. But I've said it once and I'll say it again. I base my opinion on fact and what I have seen for myself. Sorry, I was looking at my Discord real quick. Yeah, that is true. Somebody was saying how certain DPS class values are a little bit higher. Alright. Was also checking on my stream a little bit. It's amazing how I can talk for so long and feel like I've said only so little sometimes. But yeah, with Nekomatas, if you can ever make a Nekomata that has like really good rain on it, I would suggest keeping it. I know it's already a high chakra based mag, so that may, you know, suck ultimately, but hey, if you never need a Nekomata, if you ever don't need a Nekomata that has like 24 and 24 rain rolls and have like total of 48 rain and you don't want it, I'll take it. Because I like using rains with twins and I like using rain with like a lot of various different things, but I know that rain on bow will just out DPS twins. So I know whenever I go for my Dark Fin twins, I'm going to put Twin Blade Slash 7 and 6 on them in Fujin Circle Dances. I'm not going to use them for rain. I'm going to use my bows for rain. The Smart Cookie. And a wand. Maybe I'll pick up a wand and put some stuff on that too. That way I can start delving into wand a little bit. I know I'm going to pick up a staff and put Rain of Judgment on it. Just because of the sick rain DPS you get off of Rain of Judgment. I know it's a really weird move, but if I can cast Rain of Judgment and have that going on while hitting people with Aqua Needle, it'll just be so awesome. And then I cry on the inside as I got rid of a Rain of Judgment Sublime one time. No one said I was intelligent to the extreme. But that was back when I was a rookie and I was like, I don't need Rain of Judgment Sublime. It doesn't do any damage. So, you know, I was kind of retarded. No, you're probably not supposed to be saying that word on any kind of stream, but it's just how it is. Ultimately, I think this is how I want to close this stream. You know, I just want to, how I want to close it. Make what you want to make in Onigiri, but if it's bad, it's bad. It's good, it's good. Don't expect any participation trophies in Onigiri. Don't. If somebody's lying to you and saying like, oh, your 3 Rocky Prison mag build with the beginning mag that you get and Onigashima Training Ground is a really good build, they're lying to you. don't let them convince you that that's a great build that you came up with. So don't deceive yourself. I'm gonna make a lunge step raid. And you know what? You could make really good things out of that lunge step raid. You could. Even if it was just triple lance and lunge, you know, and like triple lunge step with double lance, then you could do, you know, really good stuff with it. I think something that would really benefit a lot of builds is that if they started doing this for the classes, they started giving them updated regular skills instead of just newer Ogies. Like, they gave Odachi Sumbabe Gaishi, but Holy and Slice. And they gave things like Bow, they gave them Rapid Shot, but it also had Fire in it. Like, I know that would probably make Blaze Sanction obsolete in a way, but I think that would be interesting. Like, they give us newer moves, quote unquote, but they just have different elements on them, because not many people use Poison Rapid Shot. So I think that'd be interesting to see, like, a Rapid Shot, but a Rain version of it. It's Rain and Pierce. Like, obviously you would use Aqua Needle and Gold Skelly, but you could use that Aqua Rapid Shot on things that were weak to Rain and Pierce. I'm gonna make a double fence. But it's just because I know you, I'm going to tell you that's a terrible idea, but you already know it's a terrible idea, and you're only doing it to try and agitate me. That's what you do. And try to find a way to crawl under my skin when it comes to this video game. But don't worry, I'll find a way to crawl under your skin when it comes to Fortnite or Siege. If I ever get... Like, I'll just stand in the middle and being like, this is how I heal. This is how I heal. No medkits. This is how I heal. Just standing. Damn, you know me too well. Yeah, I do know you. A little too well, dude. The English person in you should be screaming, by the way, because that was in a 002, which is what it should have been. You also forgot to capitalize at the beginning of your sentence and leave yourself off with a period. How's the English person inside of you feel right now? Does he feel bad? I bet he feels bad. I bet he feels real bad. Oh. I'm so super tired and I've done nothing but stay upstairs all day. But woe is me who stays upstairs on their day off when I should be doing something productive. What is it, Friday? I shouldn't have to do anything productive on a Friday. I'm in the middle of playing Siege. I have to type fast. Oh. He's playing Siege. But, that being said, and any other points that people want to bring up? Something that may not entirely be related to the topic, but something that's Onigiri related? Something that anybody else probably wants to get my opinion on? Could be about anything. I mean, this is an Onigiri video, ultimately. So it's... whatever y'all want to talk about, you know? Because I think I've said my piece on builds, and I don't want to sound like a broken record, you know? I said my piece when it comes to pay-to-win builds, said my piece when it comes to... well, a lot of builds in general. Like, if it's a good build, and it does great DPS... if you want to know how good your build is, ultimately, see, it's clear time. Like, don't bring any vanguards into it, don't bring mounts into it. Just solely rely on what you can do damage-wise, your character can do, and what your mags can do. I'll allow an assist character in this scenario. And see just how fast you clear a dungeon. Just see how fast it takes you to clear out the mobs. See how fast it takes you to kill the boss. Don't necessarily go off the dungeon time that Onigiri gives you. Like, stopwatch yourself. Like, download, like use your, like, clock's innate stopwatch. And, like, first time yourself on... You flag it. Use, like, a stopwatch and like kill all the mobs with your setup and your build and see how fast it took you to kill the mobs, and like, you know, stop your stopwatch once you're done. You know you're definitively done killing every single mob before you hit the boss. See how long it took you. Now, your build doesn't always ultimately determine how fast you kill a mob and kill a boss. Your skill does take a part in it, but your build will also be a large determining factor of how hard you hit mobs and bosses. Then go up to the boss, start your stopwatch before you fight the boss, and then kill the boss. Stop your stopwatch and see how long it took you to kill the boss with your build. And do this 3 times in a row and see what's your average time, because, you know, we do have to consider things like if the boss goes into the air and is invincible, or if the boss just runs out of your way. Hello, Dark Elmex. It's me, Dio. Hey, it's Duggan. Yours truly. I don't know who yours truly is. I mean, I know Dio. Oh, Dio. Dio as in... Don't know, dude. But Duggan's probably all like, I'm tired of Lex. Tired of Lex commenting, making all these builds, and saying they're trash. From Facebook. Well, hello, Dio. But yeah, this is one of my Onigiri streams that you caught me on. And, see, I know my viewers too well. I know how y'all tick, dude. Got the perfect Thuggin impression. Damn, Flex. I got DC'd. It's all his fault. It's all Flex's fault. Didn't help me with my kill. It's all Flex's fault. You gonna help me out with EB? Nah. If I die at EB, it's Flex's fault. One build is good. Get out of here with that one build is good nonsense. Mr. One build is good. If one build is good, use your Prodigal, your Chocolate Light Sheet, your two Skyrending Tempest, and sell me that 3rd Tempest if it's so good. Sell me your lowest grade Tempest. You won't. Because you want to gonna use your 3 Tempest build. And your Chocolate and Light Sheet. And your Prodigal. One build so good. Oh. Hell no. That's what I thought, boy. That's what I thought. That's what I thought. You ain't gonna sell it. You ain't gonna go, oh, one build's good. Mm-hmm. Right. Right. I better not see you with no Dark Fin Max. One build's good enough. Better not be looking for no... I better not see you the whole Dark Fin event. Better not have a single Dark Fin mag. Don't do it. Don't do it. Ah. Dark Elm X from Facebook. But yeah, I know who you are though. Deal. I don't know if I have anything else really to really talk about. Yeah, I think I've made my peace with this topic in particular. I think I've made my real peace on it. Dio, if you ever want to play Onigiri, because I don't know if you have it downloaded yet or not, I can show you the ropes. I can show you what to do. Pay to win mags are trash aside from Prodigal and Sinryu. Because that's the only compromise I'm willing to give. Prodigals and Sinryus. Because those have actually shelled out solid results. Unlike, what is it? Unlike mod mags, which don't really produce solid, consistent results. Not the way I use. I just said Prodigal and Sinryu. So are you saying that the way you use Prodigal and Sinryu would make them not good? Like, is that what you're saying? There's plenty of players who are going to be honest with you, Thuggin, that are better than you, that use mod mags and still it's not like a superb build. Nah, I guess they're bad. I guess, you know, I guess you're not producing good results with prodigals. I don't know, man. I don't know. You know, I guess this just... Hey, man, I just said prodigals were good, but hey, if the way you use them is garbage, I guess they're garbage. I didn't have to say it for him to be the truth. I mean, like, you just... I'm tired of you. That's what I was waiting for. Tired of you. Tired of you. Damn flex. Out here commenting on my build, saying my mags are shit. Tired of you. Tired of you. Tired of you. Oh, it is. Most definitely. The Prodigal is the best pay-to-win mag. Because you can fit it into so many different builds. It's not solely reliant on one element to get its full effectiveness. That's why I don't like the mod mags. It's a one-trick pony mag. Prodigals are not one-trick ponies. They are not. But mod mags are definitely one-trick ponies. They got one use. Prodigals, no siree bob. They do not have one use. Like, if you got a Prodigal mag that gave you slice element in your spear, and you need that slice element for upending spear and shit like that, there's your answer. Like, oh man, I found my slice element finally. It's costly, but Prodigals are definitely the way to go in terms to pay to win mags. Definitely. Yay. Man, dude, you know I've always liked the Prodigal mag. It's just not better than Tempest. But I do like the slice element that Prodigals give. I like that. Doesn't it also give you SP reduction as well? Yeah, it does. I do like the SP reduction that comes on a Prodigal. Like, if I had a Prodigal, I'd use it. I don't know what build I'd use it in, but I'd use it. No, I do. I'd probably go a Segoyu, a Prodigal, and then 2 Tempest, and have that be like my impromptu slice build. I think that'd be nice. I think that'd be nice damage. Oh yeah, it's the good Dura reduction. Yeah, it's the good Dura reduction. So yeah, I probably would use it for my slice build. Most definitely, I would use it for my slice build. Because Simbabe Gaishi doesn't take away that much Dura. But hey, every less Dura point it takes away, that'd be honest. That'd be nice. Yeah, that's why I said like Dura reduction, things like that. So much easier. But I think I will end the stream right here because it was a really good talk. It was a really good talk. I thank you for all of y'all for stopping by, whether y'all liked the video or not. I do still thank y'all for stopping by and hearing what I had to say. So, peace out. Y'all have a good day.